In this video, we're going to take a look at some jazz piano endings. This is really important because imagine a book without a final chapter. It kind of just hangs there and doesn't resolve. So we're going to focus on 6 different types of endings that you can use in different types of tunes. And really, we're going to stick pretty much to D minor, except for the last one, which is in B flat major, and just show you what you can do with an ending. Now, there are probably a few thousand different types of endings, and maybe more than that. But these are ones that I've learned over the years. They're ones that I use regularly, and they can really serve you well in your next performance if you just take the time to think it through. A lot of people just focus on chords and scales and memorizing the melody, things like that, but it's really important to finish off your tunes and get them sounding great at the end, especially if you want people on their feet. So let's get started with the 6 different types of endings. You really want to stick around to the end to hear them all because they're all quite useful, and I'm going to show you the use cases for each one. All right, we're over here at the keyboard and computer setup just to give you a bird's eye view of the notes that are being played. And the first ending for piano players that we're going to focus on is what's called the repeating riff. This is typically used in tunes that have a tempo, whether it's medium swing or up tempo. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to find a riff and you're going to repeat it. In this case, we're going to do the last 8 bars of Angel Eyes, and then I'm going to show you the repeating riff. So as you can see, in this case, we just took a simple 2 bars and just repeated them 4 times until we got to the last chord. So that's what's called the repeating riff. Now, obviously, you have to use your creativity in deciding what you're going to do for that repeating riff. Choose your chords, choose your voicings, and obviously choose left hand and right hand, whether that's left hand bass, right hand chords. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This one's called the ascending octave pattern. So what you're going to do in your right hand, when you get to the last chord, you're going to play fast notes that repeat every octave. So let me show you one that I use from time to time. Now, I may use different versions of this. I may get a little bit creative, but let's say we ended on a D minor chord again. What you're going to do in the right hand is you're going to play of the minor chord 9, 5, 6, and 9. Like that. So these 4 notes. So hold the last chord down and then play those notes. Now, it really doesn't matter what order you play them in as long as you repeat it each octave. So you could also do that with different notes. So for example, if we ended on D minor here, you could start it on A. I just think it sounds a little bit better if you do it starting on E. Remember to hold that pedal down and let the notes die out in their own good time. For example, you could leave that pedal down for quite a while, and especially on a real piano, it's going to ring for a while. So the next one is a lot of fun. We call this the descending blues licks. So essentially, let's say we ended on D minor again. What you're going to do is you're going to pick whatever the key of the moment is, in this case D minor, and play blues licks in a descending pattern. So for example, Okay, let's do that a little bit slower. Now, I'm probably not going to repeat exactly the same thing that I did, but it's just a blues scale, right? And just playing different licks as you come down. One of my favorites. Now, it doesn't have to be a blues tune in order to do that at the end. It's actually quite dramatic if it's not a blues tune. For example, we could have ended that on Angel Eyes. Okay. So the next one we're going to do is called the upper chord roll. You're going to pick a chord and you're just going to roll your fingers from left to right, something like this. And what you're going to do is, I personally like fourths. So if we did some kind of fourths patterns, remember in the first few licks we did E, A, and D. Keep going up in fourths. Like that. So last chord would be this. And then roll this chord. Or this chord. That one's a little cooler. There's fourths here, and then there's fifths between these two notes, and then fifths between those two notes. So fourths, then a fifth, then a fourth, then a fifth. E7 sus4 chord, apparently. But we put D minor down here. It's really a D minor 9 and 11 chord. Let's pick another chord. Let's say we end on F major 7 with a sharp 11. It's a nice effect. Right, number 5 in our list is what we call the upper chord riff. So just like the last one, we're going to plunk down a final chord, and again, let's just focus on D minor. So we've got a D minor 9 and 11 chord. And what we're going to do, instead of just rolling our chord like this, or whatever the chord is, we're going to play some kind of pattern there. So let's do the last chord. And then, so in this case, I just took this and I played from out to in and held all the notes down. Now, it really doesn't matter what the notes are as long as they fit the chord. It doesn't matter whether you're voicing in fourths or fifths. I like that better than thirds, but even if we did thirds, it would be something like this. So that's all thirds, right? And we're just playing some type of riff in the upper notes. And then maybe roll the next one. So you can do a combination of the upper chord riff and the upper chord roll. All right, the last one that I have to share with you is called the gospel. It's basically gospel music, but it's used a lot in jazz. Oscar Peterson is a great example of somebody who would use the gospel at the end of his tune. So let's say we're doing, what's Oscar's tune? Hymn to Freedom. Now we're getting to the gospel. So how's the gospel played? Well, typically it's going to be a major chord. So we're ending on B flat. And then we're doing sixths in the middle, starting with this sixth, which is F to D. And it's a good idea to use grace notes in there. You might have to stop the video to see each of those, but let's do it a little bit slower maybe. And then do a grace note from the E flat to the F and from the C to the D. And of course, there's a bit of a retard there as well, so just slow it down. So one more time. Okay, thanks for hanging out with me for my 6 different types of jazz endings. I hope you find them useful. If you have any questions or you want to dive a little bit further into different types of endings, please let me know in the comments below. And if you've got an ending that you use, please share it in the comments as well. I'd like to hear about it. If you like the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. That would be awesome. It really helps the channel when you do that. And your comments are always helpful and useful. And remember, if you want to subscribe to the channel, especially if you're new, just hit the little bell when you subscribe, and we'll notify you of all the upcoming videos that we're making. Now, just before you go, if you like this video, I have another one that I did previously that's about introductions. Just as important as the ending, you want to get started off on a great foot. I have several different types of introductions to share, and I'll put a link to that video right now, and I will see you there.